What is up, you guys? Ryan Brewer back here, the host of Michael Myers Reacts, and welcome to Ranking Podcast number 9. Now, before I really get into this podcast, I do want to apologize to you guys for the lack of content. This year has obviously sucked, not just talking about the pandemic. I've had issues throughout the past 2 months on the channel. First, it was not being able to do live streams, and now I'm having issues making just actual videos because my phone is having all kinds of storage issues, and I'm sorry for that. I'm trying my best to get back to normal where I can do regular videos and streams, but luckily I can do this ranking podcast for you guys. It's a very simple one, and I'm ranking Adam Green's Hatchet franchise. Now, this is going to be a simple and sweet ranking podcast. Obviously, there's only 4 movies in this franchise, and it's still continuing. There's definitely going to be a Hatchet 5, that's what I'm saying. But to me, all 4 of these movies are great. So I don't think any of these are above the other. It's just some of the story is a little bit better, and that's what I'm really ranking it by, is the story. The kills are absolutely brutal and gory and just amazing. So I'm not ranking it as in acting or gore or whatever. I think all that is great. I'm ranking it by story, whatever story I thought was better. So number 4 on my list has to go to 2017's Victor Crowley. It was a good movie. I really did like the story. It's just, compared to the previous 3 movies, it's a little more weaker. The kills are great. The whole airplane thing was kind of fun. Obviously, if you don't know, the Hatchet franchise is a horror comedy franchise, so it's really not supposed to be taken serious. But, I still want good story, and Victor Crowley has a great story. It's just, compared to these first 3, it is a lot weaker. So number 3 on my list is going to go to 2013's Hatchet 3. I have a lot more fun with this story. Basically, Danielle Harris's character, Mary Beth, gets arrested after the events of the second movie, and I'll be talking about Hatchet 2 here very soon. But basically, they go out to get Thomas Crowley's ashes because Thomas Crowley is dead at this point in the timeline. They go to get his ashes because they feel as though if they return Thomas Crowley to Victor Crowley, they could kill Victor Crowley. And I really like that. I thought that was really fun. They pretty much break Danielle Harris out of jail, which is Mary Beth, once again. I like that story a lot more. I felt like this one was more brutal as well than Victor Crowley. Victor Crowley had great kills. Like I said, the kills are just phenomenal in this franchise. But I felt like the kills in this one were a little better than Victor Crowley, and the story was way better in this than Victor Crowley. So that's why it makes my number 3. And I feel like a lot of Hatchet fans are about to hate me for this one, but like I said earlier in the podcast, I love all 4 of these movies pretty equal. I think it's a fantastic franchise. But number 2 on my list has to go to the original Hatchet from 2007. I think this is a great introduction to the character of Victor Crowley. It's just that, obviously, my number 1 is pretty obvious now. But I feel like this story is a little weaker than my number 1 that I'm going to be talking about. But I really do love the introduction of Victor Crowley. The kills are great in this. Robert Englund being in this as a cameo in the beginning was amazing. You guys know I love Robert Englund. Tony Todd cameoing in this was cool. But overall, the story is really good in it. I love how it's, this tour, it's not really a tour bus, but a tour of this swamp, and then they run into Victor Crowley and all hell breaks loose. I love that. But my number 1, this is why my number 1 is my number 1. Number 1 for me is Hatchet 2, because simply Hatchet 2 is a manhunt for Victor Crowley. Instead of running into Victor Crowley and people getting picked off by Victor Crowley, which is always cool, in this one, they're out to hunt Victor Crowley and kill him for good. And Tony Todd has a bigger role in this. This is the first appearance of Danielle Harris, and she does great. And this one, to me, is just, I don't know, I was just so into Hatchet 2. Don't get me wrong, I was into all of them. I love all of them, but this one really drew my attention, and that's why it's my number 1, and that's not going to change. My number 1 will always be Hatchet 2. I absolutely love Hatchet 2. But, I mean, for a lot of people, it's probably the original Hatchet, and I'm not mad about that. I see why. It's just that whole storyline in Hatchet 2 where they're out to hunt Victor Crowley is more, I guess, fun to me. The kills are great in it, obviously. I've said that so many times now in this podcast. The kills are just phenomenal in this franchise. But yeah, number 1 goes to Hatchet too. I mean, that's pretty simple, short ranking podcast. Really all I have to say. I mean, I'm not really here to review the movies or anything like that, but, that may happen in the future. Wink, wink. But we'll see about that. But yeah, that's it. That's my ranking podcast for the Hatchet franchise. Obviously, there's going to be more movies in the future, so I'll probably do a re-ranking of this one day, so don't be surprised if you see that. Also, in the comment section down below, let me know what your ranking is for the Hatchet franchise. Let me know what you think of Adam Green's directing. Go on my Facebook page, follow me on there, go to my Instagram. All that information is in the link in the description below because I keep you guys updated on the channel, especially with all the issues I've been having. I've been keeping everybody updated, so you want to go follow that stuff if you're a fan of the channel, of course. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. If you guys did enjoy this ranking podcast, please leave a like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated, and I will see you guys as soon as I can.